First rule of writing, Mr. Tupman, is never write what you know.
You ought to publish it, Joe, really.
I'll never have any suitors.
I've waited my whole life to be kissed.
Revenge is mine, quoth he.
What do those girls do over there all day?
Over the mysteries of female life, there is drawn a veil, best left undisturbed.
Joe, Meg, Beth, and Amy, the four sisters who've lived in our hearts for generations, come to the screen in Louisa May Alcott's classic Little Women. Academy Award nominee Winona Ryder stars as Jo March.
If I were going to be a writer, I'd go to New York and pursue the stage. Are you shocked?
Very.
It's not just about this girl who wants to be a writer. It's about falling in love and getting your heart broken and breaking people's hearts, and it kind of touches on just about everything.
Three-time Oscar nominee Susan Sarandon is Marmee.
And don't sit up too late.
I won't.
Marmee is a character that I can identify with, and that I'm a working mom, and that I really place my kids above everything.
What's that strange smell?
New York stage actress Trini Alvarado plays Meg.
You've ruined me! I'm sorry!
Claire Danes of My So-Called Life is Beth.
Perhaps we could send the Hummels our bread. They have so little and we have so much.
Interview with a Vampire star Kirsten Dunst portrays young Amy.
When I'm Harry, I'm going to be disgustingly rich.
And Samantha Mathis plays the older Amy.
You wicked!
Christian Bale, Eric Stoltz, and Gabriel Byrne complete the cast as the men in their lives.
I propose the admission of a new member to our theatrical society.
May I present myself as a loyal and very humble servant of the club?
1:30, take 2, guide track, mark.
Action!
Little Women was shot on location in Vancouver, Canada, under the direction of Gillian Armstrong, and was produced by Denise Denovi.
1:58, take 1, 8 camera marker.
D-mark.
Lovely weather for a picnic! It's four sisters, and it's different types of girls. Like, you have the tomboy, the bubbly, you have the shy, and you have the proper.
Joe, come over here. Stella's tomb's around here.
Mr. Lawrence, one doesn't shout at ladies as if they were cattle.
I found the story very relevant and pertinent to things that I've gone through in my life.
Their concerns about how they look, are they doing the right thing with their lives, my sister's annoying me, what do I do about it?
It's all about learning about yourself when you're at this age, which is such a weird and fascinating time.
I had a wonderful time, Mr. Brooke.
Yes, did I?
Thank you very much. Good night.
Oh, good night.
Good night.
That was rude.
Plastered yourself on him.
In most films that take place in the 1800s and the turn of the century, the girls are never adolescent, and Little Women was really about that adolescence.
The whole story of Jo is finding what is going to make her happy in life, which, you know, is not a period story whatsoever.
Ready?
Jo and Laurie had a competitive, like they were best friends, you know.
He likes to be a bit naughty like Jo does as well. So there's a kinship between him and Jo.
1, 2, 3, 4.
It's really quite difficult in modern times to create a whole world in the 1860s. And I think if we'd been lax about the period, it would have been easier. But Gillian is very much the perfectionist, and I think it really works.
Her go behind her and then fall into the alcove.
And there's been extraordinary attention to detail, which I think in the end pays off.
Here we come, a-wassailing among the leaves so green.
The prop department just went wild, and they had everything in that house. They had lists of what our daily activities would be. They had everything available to us in a fabulous kit. And I thought that the designers involved were all finding something authentic and something that was historically interesting for that period.
must we marry at all? Why can't things just stay as they are?
Joe, you have so many extraordinary gifts. How can you expect to lead an ordinary life?
When she meets the professor, it's completely new and different and challenging and mysterious.
Under his tutelage and encouragement, Joe develops into a woman.
What's going to happen?
The inevitable.
He is a teacher, gentle, reassuring, and maybe a hint of something else there as well, so.
Surprise!
John, you have a daughter. And a son. That's what life's about, is family, and I think basically what families want and what families need have stayed exactly the same.
It's just so inspiring because it's just about goodness and being a good person and doing what you want to do and you know, following your heart.
Hi, I'm the director of Little Women, Gillian Armstrong. You can see with the costumes the incredible detail that Colleen Atwood has added, and she went on to receive an Academy nomination, so I'm pleased the other costume designers out there recognised her great talent.
One of the most fun yet trickiest costumes for the movie was the ice skating costume, because they were really skating on artificial ice with a lot of fake snow, and the snow was cornstarch and they used water, so it was sort of like glue on costumes. I had a lot of research for ice skating costumes of the period, and I wanted to combine something that was, you know, authentic for the period but looked like it was kind of a makeshift thing for all of them, because they really weren't the sort of people that went out to Central Park ice skating when it was winter in their new ice skating gear. So I adapted something that looked like it might have been a dress that Winona had almost outgrown, and shortened it a little bit and made it look sort of sporty in that way. Some of the clothes in Little Women are made from antique fabrics, which were found all over the world. A lot of my fabrics for Little Women came from America because I wanted to depict the sort of simplicity of America at the time. Some of my fabrics came from England. My fancier fabrics were from England and France for the movie. I had a lot of wonderful people that did embroidery and needlework on the costumes once they were being put together, where perhaps I used an authentic fabric and then did some detail and needlework to reflect the period without it getting too ornate. I did use pinafores and covers, what we call aprons today, a lot in the movie, because I felt that it helped show the idea that people wore the same dress on a daily basis, but sometimes wore a different sort of cover over it. They tended to wear cotton chemises underneath to help keep them clean on the inside, and pinafores and aprons a lot on the outside to keep them clean on the outside when they were doing practical things around the house. In the beginning of the story, there's a party where Joe first meets Laurie. Laurie's costume was made for me in England. In that scene, they kind of become soulmates, but also in that scene, we really see the community at their finest. As Laurie becomes interested in Joe, and he actually proposes marriage to her, and in that scene, she's wearing a handmade gauze dress with a bow in the back. But this dress was suddenly a dress that Jo's becoming a woman in. At the same time, she has a lot of conflict because even though she loves Laurie, she knows they're not meant to be together, and it would destroy a great friendship for them to be married as he proposes. So it's a dress that we wanted to be sort of soft and a different version of Jo than the sort of tomboy clothes that you see earlier in the story. When we went to New York in the story, I felt like I had to shift the direction from the countryside to the city. I did that by adding, of course, a level of wealth that wasn't really happening in the rural area, and also a level of poverty that wasn't particularly seen in the rural area. It was after the war. There were a lot of people who were struggling in the cities as well as in the countryside, and there was also a huge influx of immigrants. So I did research for people from different parts of Europe who were coming to America. There were Germans and Irish, and I tried to reflect their clothing in the people that lived at Kirk House and on the streets in New York. In Little Women, Jo attends the opera with Professor Bear one evening, and it's really her turning point as far as suddenly caring about what she wears, as far as wanting somebody to appreciate her. She does it very simply, actually, in a nice burgundy woolen dress, very basic, but at the same time something a little bit more colorful and new for Jo. It's quite a big step for her. When you do research for a movie like Little Women, the first source of inspiration is the story itself, and then you begin looking at each character within the story. And then oftentimes you go from the written word to the visual research of the period. We were greatly influenced by the artist Tissot for some of our finer scenes, and for Christian Bale's sort of grown-up Laurie when Amy meets him in Europe was specifically from an Italian painting I found in a book of a dapper young man of the period. There's also existed in the period of Little Women early photography, which has a huge influence on the movie in hair and makeup as well as in costume, because it gives us an opportunity to look at people and helps us as costume designers try to make the clothes not costumes but clothing on people.
Tus trailers, visita mi canal.